Hey guys, welcome to LG Overdrive. This is episode 9. This is our preview post Christmas of round 1 and our preview for round 2. So I am the host, Da Young Buck. With us today we have Dudley Do Right. Hi, Dudley.
I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
And also with us we have Notorious Fat.
Hey everybody, how you doing tonight?
So it says the Notorious curse is over. What curse is that?
There was some discussion last season about anybody who I picked to win a series was as good as dead, and that kind of did follow through. I killed a lot of teams last year, so this season doesn't seem to be as bad. I think I'm about 50%. I'm running, so hey, if I pick you, you could win still, possibly. I
You see,
Dead Row.
I'll add to that because you know why? I'll say this is true because having him on Tucson this whole season was like a season-wide curse.
I did pick us to make the playoffs.
Yes,
That didn't
there you go.
That
That's
didn't
right.
go so well. So.
Many restless nights.
Alrighty. So, I just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I know it's just past Christmas now, but I hope you guys did have a good Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
Merry
Happy Hanukkah to
Kwanzaa.
those. Merry Kwanzaa. And we're going into the new year, and 2018 we'll be bringing on to round 2. But before we go into round 2, we're going to do a quick recap of round 1. So, I'm going to be doing the Central. Dudley will be doing the Atlantic, Notorious will be doing the North, and then it'll be sent back to me for the Pacific, which I have a very special message in there. So to kickstart the Central Division, we had the number 1 seed Manitoba Moose play against the number 4 seed Iowa Wild, which everyone thought would be a curb stomping in its own way because we all thought that Manitoba just walk through Iowa, and they, for the most part, they kind of did. Iowa did hold their own. It did go 6 games. Manitoba did win 4 games to 2. Their first 2 games at home being 7-1 and 2-1 for them, and then they threw out their second line, the Rectified Gilbsy line, and actually lost both of those in games 3 and 4, with Iowa being the home team, which was a huge steal. Figuring last week, I did say that I believed that if Iowa was to steal 1 game, they had to do it against the Lions and Reimers my line, and they stole it 2 of them against the second line, which is Rectifying Gilbsy. So kudos to them. And then games 5 and 6, Manitoba took 5-4 and 3-0, with obviously the fourth line shutting out the Wild. They didn't really have much of a chance at that point because they were playing the best line in the AHL. Shout out to Scumbag Jared, who is now 28-0 this season. I hope you don't lose the rest of the way. It would be terrible if you got, I don't know, a new monitor to play on with a 1 millisecond response time and then suddenly lose. I know you were looking for one there for Boxing Day. And then moving on to our second matchup from round 1, we had the Cleveland Monsters face off against Colorado Eagles. This is actually one of the quietest series of the first round. There wasn't a lot of build-up, and yeah, like I said, there's not much going on in the chat box or in the forums about it. This series actually went to 7 games, going back and forth. For the first few games, Colorado kept winning the odd-numbered games until they got to Game 5, where Cleveland came out of nowhere and stole it to go up 3 games to 2 after they had been down every time in the series and tying it. But if you look after games 4, for the most part the series was very low scoring except for Game 4. Game 4 being a 7-3 game in favor of Cleveland. But then every game after that, so Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7, all the results were shutouts for the winning team, whether it be 4-0 for Cleveland, 5-0 for Colorado, or 1-0 in Game 7 for Cleveland. So I think despite it being a 2-3 matchup and the Eagles having the issues that they had during the regular season with their management quitting and getting destroyed by their NHL team, they did a great job. They weren't favored to win that series, but they did put up a good fight that probably surprised a lot of people, despite the community votes being 97-10 in favor of Cleveland. So we're going to move on to round 2 now for that. And we actually have number 1 versus number 2, Manitoba versus Cleveland at this point. Obviously, Manitoba is a heavy favorite here. Currently outvoting them 74-16. So if anyone can do quick math, out of 90 votes, 74 of them being Manitoba, giving them a huge percentage. 82.2% of the community believe that Manitoba is going to win this one. Again, I think this is where fourth line has to be smart with his line matchups as the home team, because he has tendencies in the second and third round, I believe. Again, he's boycotting the show, so he doesn't have this curse like he did last season, where he boycotted and then won, so that they can go on and win the series again. Maybe Cleveland won't forfeit and have an ECMU situation like they did last year, but it should be a good series. I personally picked Manitoba in 6 games. I do believe that despite how quiet Cleveland is, they have a lot of big-name players like Legacy, Gunwoat, who know how to play games, big games, steal them, and they can probably take a good one. They could be the only probably lineup that I could see beating the fourth line, unless they play it smart and play against one of the weaker lines in Manitoba. But Manitoba itself doesn't have a third line, so it'll be interesting to see where that one goes. We're going to send it over to Dudley, who's going to be recapping the Eastern Atlantic.
Alrighty, strap yourselves in. Wake the kids, phone the neighbors, everybody. We are going to go down prediction lane and recap lane, everybody. By the way, there's no top 10 list tonight. Just in case you wanted to have your kids sit down, get a nice cold cup of coffee, and watch a really lame piece of comedy. Sorry, it's not going to happen today. So
you got to listen to me. It's just as bad.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to look at Notorious's face. Anyways, no, I'm kidding. He has a very nice round face. Okay, so we go to the Eastern Atlantic and we go to the first matchup in the first round, which was supposed to be the easy walkthrough. I'm going to beat the crap out of this matchup for Lehigh Valley facing Providence. Providence was ranked 8th in the Eastern Conference, while Lehigh Valley Phantoms were at the top of the Eastern Atlantic with 111 points. I mean, they went 7-2 at their last 10 games before the end of the season and were 24-10 at home, 24-10-7 at home, and 26-11-4 on the road. So they had all cylinders moving heading into this playoff series. And considering Providence, who lost to a team like Tucson, you would think that Lehigh Valley would be able to, let's just say, walk right through Providence. But quite the contrary, actually. We have ourselves a upset. Games 1, 2, and games 4, Providence outshot the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. In game 1, the outshot margin was, I think it was 22 to, I think they were still in single digits, if I'm correct. And it seems that Providence was able to gain control of all the games that they were in. Lehigh Valley squeaking out that one win in game 3, but it seems like Providence just took control, grabbed them by the jugular, and was able to finish it off in 5. Now, taking a look at the community voting here, it seems like everyone was wrong. It seems that 87.4% of the people voted for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, a total of 97 people totaling the vote, and 14 people, congratulations, you're the hipsters of this poll, 14 people voted for the Providence Bruins to win. So the Providence Bruins were able to take down the first-seeded Lehigh Valley Phantoms. And as we like to say in video game speak, GG Lehigh Valley. See you next season. All right. So then we move on to the next matchup in the Eastern Conference, which this one was a little more of a, it seemed like it was closer. You have the Hershey Bears, who are 4th in the Eastern Atlantic, and then you have the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. It's a battle in Pennsylvania of minor league hockey teams. So it seems like the first 2 games, Hershey was kind of, actually the first 3 games, rather, Hershey was getting ready to go for a sweep. They got Wilkes-Barre was shut out for games 2 and 3. And the first game was kind of a barn burner, 6-5. Then the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins were able to get a 5-1 win. But then the final game, which was Game 5, the Hershey Bears ultimately sealed the deal and won on a shutout. So Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins were shut out 3 times in this series. Not exactly the best way for you to go into the playoffs. I mean, for goodness sake, the Tucson Roadrunners had, what was it, the 7th best power play in the league? So we did at least score a couple goals a game. And there's a reason why I'm referencing this, because we were bad, but we scored.
I hope there's a reason, because I can't take you picking this scab anymore.
I just have to dig the knife deeper into the hole, of course. So we go to the community voting here, which is a very helpful tool to look at. And it seems to me that most people voted correctly in this poll and selected Hershey to beat Wilkes-Barre Scranton, which is 54.5% to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. 50 people voted 45.5%. So now we head on that matchup and we go to the Providence Bruins and the Hershey Bears matchup. So if you take
Hilly.
Yes, R.I.P. Hilly indeed. So we take a look at the head-to-head games from earlier this season. And the first game played, Hershey won 4-2 at Providence. Then Providence was able to beat Hershey again on the road. Then a 3-2 win on the 26th of some month. It doesn't specify a date here, but Hershey won that game. And then Hershey won their last matchup 6-0 against Providence. So you have a 3-1 record for Hershey and a 1-3 record for Providence. So now if we take a look at some of the stuff here, the Hershey Bears are currently are ranked in the standings of the regular season at 50, 23, and 4. Providence currently stands on the final standings of the season at 43, 31, and 15. Providence, like I just mentioned, was previously coming off of the Lehigh Valley Phantom upset, and Hershey was coming off of, the high intense putting to the ground Wilkes-Barre Scranton series. So it seems like both these teams are getting ready to clash right now. So if we take a look at some of the statistics in these games that they've played on against each other this season, Hershey currently has the edge in goals with 16-8. Total shots, Hershey has more shots. It seems like there's a recurring theme. Hershey seems to generate a lot of shots. Providence also does as well. And then you look at the time on attack, and this is actually very interesting here against these two teams. Their matchup this season, Providence has 20 minutes and 42 time on attack. Hershey has 20 minutes and 41 seconds time on attack. So they are just about equal in that aspect. Hershey apparently capitalizes more on the power play in this series. Providence apparently doesn't know what a power play is against Hershey, and they're 0-5. So then if you look at the face-offs, it clearly shows that Hershey has an advantage at center, as they have 60 face-offs won to Providence's 32. So with that being said, you go down the rest of the list here, and we go down to the percentage of offense, defense, and goalie. It kind of seems that the Hershey Bears, statistically speaking, with the players that they have on their roster, they edge out the Providence Bruins in most of the – actually, no, let me rephrase that. Offensively, the Hershey Bears have a 53.8% in terms of statistics of players altogether. Providence has 46.2%. The defense, on the other hand, this might be a good thing for Providence here. They might be able to stifle off that high-octane Hershey offense. 57.8% on defense against the Hershey Bears. 42.2% for Hershey. Then you have 50.9%. Providence just edges the goalie statistic against Hershey with the 49.1%. So now, with that all being said, all that mumbo-jumbo that I just said, okay, but all that mumbo-jumbo that I just said, I predict, drum roll please. You guys are still there. I love it. So I predict, even though both teams have solid players, really, both of these teams are stacked. Colonel, Klepatron on goalie, Colonel on D, Datsuki and Deacon Drake, they play on the line. Flyers 2884, who is incredibly underrated in this league. And then you have Prowsey and Spruce Moose as well. And then on the Hershey side, you have Bryce. You have my buddy Butta Borborigmi, who was a solid defenseman in his own right. Then you have that guy, Dan Hutton. What's so special about him? But apparently he's good. Then you have Mike Shea and Pigwin, who all seem to be, and Hope's Downfall too. Let me add him for Hershey as well. So it seems like we're getting a lot of role players here who are solid. So I want to say that this is going to go 7. I think this is going to go 7 because both teams seem like they can score a lot of goals. This is going to go 7, and the winner will be the Hershey Bears, because I think at the end of the day, the offense that the Hershey Bears have will just creep a little more. and they'll be able to get the advantage and beat the Providence Bruins. But it'll be a fun series. At least that's my prediction. I'm probably going to be totally wrong, and I'll probably jinx them. And Providence will probably end up winning in 4, but who cares?
That's the new Dudley curse.
There you go.
Dudley curse.
There you go.
There you go. Take my curse. You can have it.
Yeah, that's right. Congratulations. So there we go. That's my take on that.
And now moving on, we go over to the old curse of the Notorious.
How exciting. Yeah, so I'm going to do things a little differently than Buck and Dudley just did, where they were recapping the first round and then talking about the second round. I'm going to kind of do it all together in one big old mess. Okay.
Aren't you special?
Yeah, I like. So in the second round here, we're going to have Laval Rocket and the Binghamton Devils going head-to-head. They moved past their opponents in the first round. Binghamton, of course, beating Utica, and Laval beating the Rochester Americans. So they're going to meet in the second round here. It's a number 1 versus number 3 matchup. Laval with 110 points on the season, Binghamton with 97. So a couple of pretty good teams here. Laval won the series, the season series, 3-1 this past year. They won their games 4-1, 1-0, 3-2, and then lost 5-4. So if you look at those scores, they're all pretty close games, with the one only being like a 3-goal margin, otherwise 1-goal games. So I will say that Laval escaped the first round in 7 games after losing the first 2 to Rochester. Laval fought back to bring the series to 3-1 and then had to fight for their lives to win 3 straight. No easy task for sure. They did it, so good for them. Laval's first line was not the force that I had expected them to be in the first round, so they should be very thankful that the secondary scoring of Johnny X97 and Kelly X74 went 3-0-0 and came through and saved their season. Really, they did, because the first line was not there. Top performers, of course, for Laval was the line I've already mentioned, Kelly X74 and Johnny X97. If you look over at Binghamton, the Devils had little trouble with the Comets in the first round, jumped up to a 3-0 series lead before giving up the solitary loss, 7-2 loss in Game 4. Game 5 was the victory that sealed the deal, sending Binghamton to the second round. Top performers for the Devils with the line of I-Transitions, Pizza Romo, and Hexagon Jr., putting up 15 points combined in the 3 games. My understanding is the Devils were not real pleased that I overlooked them in the first round. You don't want me to pick you anyhow. It's not good. So they were a little upset. So that may have become some bulletin board material. There was no disrespect. I'm just not good at picking teams. So round 2 brings us the number 1 and number 3 seeds, as I mentioned, together to see who will represent the Eastern North in the Eastern Final. All signs point towards Laval as the favorite here, but my belief is Binghamton has started firing on all cylinders right now. I had discussed for the first round to watch the face-off percentage between Utica and Binghamton. Well, Binghamton took that to heart, and they really had their way with Utica in the dot. Watch for that to continue in this round. Also, the Devils are shooting at a high percentage right now and scoring at a fairly good clip. I feel you need to go with the hot team. And with Laval's top guys underperforming in the first round, I'm going to have to go with Binghamton in the second round over Laval in 5 games. But just a piece of advice, because we've kind of been off for a while here, we still haven't even started the new series yet. We've still got, I think another week before we start, right, Buck?
Yeah, something about that yet.
Yeah. So, for the guys that are moving on, you want to keep sharp. Make sure you play with your teammates. If you're not, make sure you have yourself some multi-purpose lube. Keep your thumbs nice and loose. There's other things you can do. Butter works well. Anal lube, whatever you got to do. Keep your thumbs loose, because you don't want to be tight going into the second round, especially with this long layoff. Cramps are a real thing. Keep hydrated. Get some water. So be ready.
I don't want to get stuck in turkey coma.
What was that? I didn't hear you.
Said don't want to get stuck in that turkey coma.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do it. Well, I do. I got nothing to do. Send your turkey to me. Again, my address is easy to get. Just ask me for it. You can send me all the turkey you want. I'll be happy to eat it.
Of course you would. Go figure.
Turkey's good.
He'll share with the dogs right behind him over again.
Yeah, these guys, they like to eat. Big dog got to eat.
Fair enough. All right, moving on to our last series, we had the Pacific Division matchup. I'm going to talk about our 2-3 matchup first. We had the Ontario Reign and the San Diego Gulls. This was a matchup that we were expected to be somewhat more one-sided, but it was still fairly close for the most part. Every game actually was a one-goal game. Every game was a fairly low-scoring game. So shout out to both teams before I go ahead with this one. Ontario, congratulations, you won obviously in 4 games to 2, winning games 1, 4, 5, and 6 by the scores of 3-2, 2-1, 4-3, and again 2-1. And San Diego winning games 2 and 3 by the score of 2-1. So again, like I said, all one-goal games. 4 of them, were the score of 2-1. So again, low scoring. That seemed to have been a fairly even matchup. That even though we said that San Diego wasn't a strong team because beginning of the year they had so many draft picks, we didn't know exactly how they would do. Um, they did surprise several of us. Our ex paper towel boy, Lazy Kids in Georgia, the GM for San Diego, did play very well in net. He looked less like a paper towel and more like, I don't know, a Scotch paper towel? Scotch towels?
He wasn't no name brand, that's for sure. He definitely stepped up his branding.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Brawny now. Brawny, perhaps.
And but the definite MVP for that series was Ontario's goalie Peking Duck. He decided last minute to switch this season to goalie, and he's having a fantastic season, similar to what we saw with our buddy Mackey last season when he did that with Utica, but except there's no goalie controversy in Ontario, so
Doesn't appear to have one.
he seems to be getting all the minutes, and he's definitely one of the big reasons why Ontario is succeeding as well as they are, despite the strong team he has in front of him. Moving on to our interesting series, a series that I actually called on the dot what happened. The San Jose Barracuda versus the Stockton Heat. Number 1 Stockton facing up against number 4 San Jose. I'm a Sharks fan, so these are the baby Sharks for me. I had the Barracuda myself in 7 games, and they exactly how the series turned out. 7 games, and San Jose taking it. Bit of a controversial series, with one forfeit happening in Game 3. So Stockton took the first game 6-1. San Jose took game 2 1-0. Stockton did win game 3, but our big boy Euro Haffer was unable to show up for his game, and Stockton management accidentally used a random assigned veteran as their ECU.
Uh-oh.
As the rules clearly state, you are not allowed to use any TC players that are prospects or random veterans or random assigned veterans in the playoffs as your ECU. Thus, the win for Stockton, making it what it would have been a 2-1 series lead, was negated and it made it a 2-1 series lead for San Jose, leading into Game 4, where Stockton took games 4 and 5 by the scores of 5-4 and 5-1. At that point, the series would have been over. Stockton would have won that series 5 games, and then with a little bit of life still, the Barracuda came out in Game 6 and won that 3-1. And then Stockton decided to play it a little different because Euro didn't make it to Game 3. They decided to put him in Game 7, but the kid is trash. So they put him with Squid and Crotch, and I think that screwed up a little bit with the Lions because the Lions should have been with Corey, Mack, Squid, and Mac. And clearly the Lions didn't work out too well because Stockton got absolutely stomped on by Dunks, Malcheski, Bombay, the big boys. I don't know how they lost to Neil, X25, but that one line in San Jose just stomped Grandpa Puff. We are all worried about you, especially Notorious. You had your Christmas dinner waiting for you. It's in the fridge now, correct, Notorious?
It wasn't Christmas. It was KFC. We were supposed to meet for a bucket of chicken and watch some Disney movies, just talk about goaltending and stuff like that. So if you're watching this, Grandpa, invite's still there. I got a great library of Disney movies. Come on over. I put the chicken in the fridge for you. Some fries and gravy there too, and we'll watch some movies. Just give me a message here. Shoot me a message.
Why do I have a feeling this is a setup for To Catch a Predator sting?
It's not. I don't think he's underage. Listen, I knew nothing about it.
That's what they all say.
But so in all seriousness, we have not seen the Magical Man, Grandpa Puff, top goalie in the AHL all season. Since the loss where he had, I believe, 2 saves in Game 7, 6 goals on 8 shots.
Jeez.
He did not show up. He did not play like the top goalie in the AHL. So congratulations, San Jose. You took out the big.
It's always best not to chirp until it's all over. It's that's unfortunate.
Yep. And for Tucson, we didn't have the time to chirp because it was already over for us.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That's right.
So moving on to our Pacific final matchup, we have the San Jose Barracuda, 4th seed, versus the 2nd seeded Ontario Reign. After seeing what San Jose could do to Stockton, Stockton has a very, very solid team. They were number 2 team in the entire AHL. I was surprised to see, despite having picked San Jose, I was still surprised to see that Stockton lost because Stockton had such a strong team. I know there was availability issues, but Bryson is a very experienced manager. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what to do, where to place the guys, who to put in what games, depending on the situations. Knows how to keep his composure. Ontario Stastny went to the finals last year with new manager Leporshkin now. A lot of his players were in the finals last year or were part of the Calder Cup final team that won the championship or just in the finals in general. So he has playoff experience on the guys. I know it's a different game, but there is that experience there. I have to go with my boys in San Jose. I do think this is going to be another tight, low-scoring series. There's a lot of firepower, but the deep cores on both teams and the goaltending on both teams is just astronomical this series. And I have San Jose in 7, just because I think Bryson and the boys and the mate lads, I should say, Bryson and the mate lads are going to take this one.
Media teams unite.
Media teams unite. The San Jose Access team and the Overdrive team.
Tucson Overdrive team.
Tucson Overdrive team. On board.
Okay.
Yeah. Heavy sigh. That's what I want to hear. Yeah.
Bunch of birds over here.
But last season it was all about the Heat. Now there's no more Heat.
Sad.
So looking forward to the quarterfinals. Those start up next Sunday. So not this Sunday coming up, the 31st. Those will be starting up on 7th of January. So you won't be seeing us for 2 weeks? Week and a half, 2 weeks?
Week and a half.
Something like that. You won't see us for
a week. It's a week and a half because I'm assuming we're going to end up doing this again the next weekend. So yeah, it's a week and a half.
We'll just say that and we'll go with that.
Yeah. I know my timelines. Math is fun.
Don't promise everybody a good time by saying we won't be around. That's just gonna make them happy. Let's keep them depressed and down. That's what we want. It's
like putting a number on the side of the stall saying for a good time and it leads to a busy signal.
Oh.
And without further ado, and on that really, really awful joke, we are out of here, and we will catch you guys with a recap of round 2 and our preview for the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. Peace out, guys.